Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 13 of Party in the Back, the review series for GranTurismo's selection of wagons and estate cars. And in this particular episode we're featuring the last Subaru Legacy variant that we will be reviewing in this series. There have been 4 Legacies. There's the slightly older shape, the 3-litre naturally aspirated model, the 2-litre Spec B, which is the most WRX-STI-ish of the Legacies, and then this final version, the 2-litre GT. It's a 2003 spec machine, and this is, technically speaking, the best Legacy in the game for its sheer on-paper specs. It offers a lot for the money. In fact, it's actually cheaper than all of the other Legacies, but it's also the most powerful of all the Legacies at 559 horsepower. It also puts out 406 pound-feet of torque and weighs in at 1171 kilos, making it the lightest Legacy as well. So it doesn't so much edge ahead of the others as absolutely blow them out of the water. Not only is it cheaper, but it has more power, more torque, and less weight. The PP is also higher at 556, and it puts out the most horsepower per tonne of any of them, not surprisingly, at 477. So quite simply, if you are a big fan of the Legacy and you're looking purely for the best of them, this is the car for you. Now, as far as the car itself and the way it performs, the way it looks, the way it delivers its performance, it's kind of like, in my opinion anyway, a cross to some extent between the 3-litre R and the Spec B, in as much as it gives you performance and handling characteristics that are like the Spec B model, the sportiest looking version, but at the same time it has the look and the understated, almost sleeper car status of the 3-litre R, because although this is the best model, it doesn't necessarily look like the best model. It's a pretty normal looking car. It has the bonnet scoop, and that's about it. Apart from that, it just looks like a Legacy wagon. And that's cool, because it means it's a great sleeper wagon. Now, as far as actual performance, the differences between them are notable. It is a faster car, especially in a straight line, but the differences aren't massive. The spec is definitely better in pretty much every way that matters, but in a straight line, the difference between the two isn't like the difference between, say, a Veyron and a Corvette. It's not that kind of difference, but there certainly is a difference to be seen. As far as handling, as I said, it's similar to the Spec B. Not quite as sharp, though, I would say. The handling is a little bit more restrained, perhaps a little bit more sensible on this model than the Spec B. The Spec B definitely feels a bit more of a hoonmobile, more of a boy racer's wagon, whereas this does feel like what it is, the sensible older brother to the Impreza wagon. That's basically what the Subaru Legacy has always been, and this carries that on. But even though it's not as shouty as the Impreza, it's just as capable as many of the Imprezas around the track. And the value for money is through the roof due to the fact that, as we said, it's also cheaper than all of the other Legacies. Now, if you're not just looking for the best of the Legacies, I actually wouldn't necessarily recommend it. If you're a fan of the Legacy, as I said earlier, and you are just looking for the best one, then this is definitely the car for you. But I personally prefer the Spec B model. I think that the Spec B is possibly my favourite version of the Legacy alongside the older shape model, because that really is the ultimate sleeper car of the 4 due to its older looks. But this car, it's a little bit too restrained for me. The difference isn't massive, as I said, between this and the Spec B, but it is there. And I do prefer the slightly more wild nature that the Spec B has overall. Now, top speed wise, and overall, to be honest, in a straight line, you're looking at very similar performance to the Impreza wagon. So a top speed in the region of 230 under its own power, and very strong acceleration, strong off the line. Not as strong as, say, other imports for top-end acceleration, but the all-wheel drive allows it to launch very quickly. It has tons of grip, of course, around corners. It's a great off-roader as well, as all of the Legacies are. And overall, to put it simply, it is the best Legacy in the game. So, a relatively simple overall review, to be honest. There's not much more to be said about this car that I haven't said already. It's the best. So, I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.